A 65-million-year-old T-Rex survived having its neck torn off, and scientists just discovered proof it healed itself and kept hunting. But here's what shocked them even more. Picture this. You're a 9-ton prehistoric predator, the most feared creature on the planet. Then, a rival T-Rex's teeth shred through your leg, or a massive sauropod's tail smashes your ribs into splinters. Most animals would be dead in days, but not dinosaurs. For decades, paleontologists believed dinosaurs were just walking fossils, primitive reptiles that couldn't handle serious injuries. Then, they started finding something impossible: fossil evidence of dinosaurs that survived catastrophic wounds that would have killed any modern animal. We're talking about injuries that make today's grizzly bear attacks look like playground scraped knees. Bite marks the size of dinner plates, healed fractures so severe that the bones had to be reset, evidence of infection that dinosaurs somehow fought off without antibiotics, antiseptics, or modern medicine. And what they discovered about how these ancient giants healed themselves isn't just fascinating. It's rewriting everything we thought we knew about dinosaur biology, their immune systems, and how extraordinary their bodies truly were. Today, we're diving into the incredible true stories of dinosaurs that beat the odds, survived the unsurvivable, and kept walking across a brutal prehistoric world. You're about to see proof that dinosaurs weren't just powerful, they were absolute survivors. Let's go. A colossal dinosaur staggers through the dimming prehistoric forest at twilight, its massive form outlined in the bloody hues of sunset. Fresh wounds mar its thick hide, claw gashes and a deep bite mark ooze blood that mats its scales in dark crimson. With each labored step, pain lances through the creature's body, but it presses on, driven by a primal will to survive. Its heart thrums in its chest, pumping precious warmth out of the wounds with every beat, and its breaths come hot and ragged, fogging in the cooling dusk. The air is thick with the iron scent of blood and damp earth. Distant calls of predators echo through ancient trees, and the behemoth knows night is falling fast. In this fading light, every shadow could hide a threat. The wounded giant swings its head warily, amber eyes scanning for any stalker among the ferns. It limps forward, leaving a dark trail on trampled foliage. There is urgency in its stride despite the agony, an instinct that a vulnerable animal must find refuge or become an easy target in the darkness. As the last sliver of sun disappears below the horizon, the behemoth releases a low, pained bellow that fades into the gloom. Then, it spots a hollow beneath tangled roots and fallen rocks, a possible sanctuary. Summoning the last of its strength, the injured titan pushes toward that crevice, desperate to vanish from the open before the world is plunged into night. The injured dinosaur squeezes into the shelter of the hollow, entering a realm of cool darkness. Here, in this sanctuary of shadows, the giant finally collapses onto a bed of damp leaf litter and soil. Its flanks heave as it gulps air, every breath rattling with exhaustion. For a long moment, the beast simply lies there trembling, muscles quivering from shock and loss of blood. In the pitch-black hideaway, its racing heart begins to slow, the immediate panic ebbing now that it is hidden from prying eyes. The darkness wraps around the wounded behemoth like a protective cloak, concealing it from prowling night hunters. In the silence, the dinosaur's senses sharpen. It can hear water dripping nearby and the distant chorus of insects outside. The bitter copper taste of blood fills its mouth as it licks its jaws, trying to clear the pain. Cautiously, the creature shifts to ease pressure on its wounds, instinctively huddling to conserve warmth. Thick coagulating blood forms a temporary seal over open gashes as the beast remains motionless. Every rustle in the undergrowth outside makes its ears prick and body tense, but no enemy appears. Safe in this hidden recess, the hurt titan dares not venture further. Instead, it stays still and silent, letting the cover of night guard it. In this quiet gloom, the first battle in its healing has been won. It has found a refuge, and for now, it will live to see another night. Night deepens, and the wounded giant stirs under the canopy of primeval stars. Thirst and instinct guide it back out into the open for a crucial ritual of renewal. Under a sky filled with ancient constellations, The dinosaur drags itself to a nearby pool reflecting the moonlight. With slow deliberation, it lowers its muzzle to drink, cool water soothing its parched throat. The beast then wades in, allowing the water to cleanse caked blood from its wounds. It stands nearly motionless in the pool as silvery light dances on ripples around its legs. The shock of cold makes it shudder, but also numbs the pain. In trance-like silence, the creature turns its gaze upward. Overhead, countless stars burn indifferent and steady, silent witnesses to this ancient rite. Beneath the surface, the dinosaur's body commences its own quiet miracles. Blood clots harden into protective scabs, and torn flesh slowly begins to knit back together. Around cracked bone, cells lay down new layers of tissue, forming the first bridge of healing. Increased warmth radiates from the injury sites, a natural fever forging strength in broken places. The giant remains still, conserving energy as its immune system battles invisible invaders in the wounds. Each labored breath is part of this ritual, drawing in the cool night air and releasing low groans that echo faintly across the water. Time seems to stand still under the cosmos's glow. In this sacred darkness, the hurt beast performs the simple ancient ceremonies of survival, drinking, resting, and trusting in nature's power to restore. Not all. Denizens of the prehistoric night are foes. Some become unwitting allies. As the dinosaur recovers in the gloom, small winged creatures gather around its resting place. Drawn by the scent of blood and the drone of flies, a few tiny feathered scavengers perch along the behemoth's back. Normally, the titan would shake off such pests, but now it lies still, allowing them to work. The little creatures peck at parasites and dead flesh around its wounds, feasting on ticks and maggots that would otherwise fester. Each tiny beakful cleans the injury, relieving itch and reducing infection. The giant huffs in discomfort, yet finds a strange solace in their touch. In the shadows, an unlikely symbiosis takes hold. The colossal victim and its tiny attendants bound by mutual need. These night attendants are guardians as much as nurses. Their keen senses catch movements in the dark that the weakened giant cannot. At the crunch of leaves or a slither in the brush, the roosting creatures hiss and squawk, instinctive alarms that put the dinosaur on guard. More than once, the beast is roused from fitful sleep by their cries, just in time to spot a creeping predator and drive it off with a roar. The winged companions scatter during the commotion, then settle back once danger passes. In the black of night, these humble creatures serve as the titan's eyes and ears, an unexpected honor guard protecting their host until dawn. Days and nights blur together as the wounded dinosaur slowly mends in its grove. Each sunrise finds it a little stronger. Raw gashes clot and scab over, gradually knitting into tough scars. Underneath, splintered bones fuse into a solid mass, a knot of new bone where the fracture once was. At first, the colossus can barely stand, but each day it pushes a bit further. It progresses from crawling to hobbling on 3 limbs, and finally to gingerly testing weight on the bad leg. Pain flares with every step, yet the limb holds. Withered muscles begin to fill out again. What was broken is growing whole. Still, the recovering giant remains cautious, resting often. Then one night, nature unleashes a final trial. A thunderstorm rolls in. Lightning splits the sky, and thunder shakes the ground. Sheets of rain pummel the earth, flooding the low hollow. As water rises and branches crash down, the dinosaur is forced into action. Ignoring the pain, it heaves itself upright for the first time in weeks. In blinding flashes, the titan stands defiant. Every boom of thunder is like a hammer strike, hardening its resolve. It trudges out of the mire to higher ground, one step after another. Torrents of rain lash its hide, washing away blood and dirt. The ordeal is agony, but each stride strengthens bone and confidence. By storm's end, the giant moves with new vigor. It throws back its head and unleashes a triumphant roar into the fading storm, answered only by distant thunder. Shattered no longer, the titan has been tempered by the storm. At last, daybreak comes. The first pale light of dawn finds the great beast standing on a rise, steam gently wafting from its bruised body in the cool morning air. The night has passed, the storm clouds have cleared, and the sky glows gold and pink, illuminating a tableau of survival. Across the dinosaur's flank and limbs runs a lattice of new scars, dark knotted patches where gaping wounds once were. It aches from the ordeal, and a slight limp remains in its stride, but the colossal creature now stands unbowed. Where once it had cowered in twilight, now it greets the morning sun. The scarred colossus lifts its head and lets out a deep, triumphant call that echoes across the awakening wilds. In that resonant sound is the essence of its story. Pain endured, challenges overcome, and life reclaimed. In truth, the saga of this survivor is more than fantasy. It echoes real prehistory. Paleontologists have unearthed numerous dinosaur fossils bearing signs of severe injuries that healed during the animal's lifetime. These ancient bones tell of beasts that survived bites, breaks, even lost limbs, and continued to roam. For example, a herbivore's tail vertebrae were found fused around a tyrannosaur's tooth, the bone mended with the predator's fang still embedded, proof that the prey escaped and recovered. Even the mighty Tyrannosaurus rex shows such resilience. The largest T-Rex ever found, Scotty, had a broken rib that partially healed before the animal's death. Scientific analyses reveal that dinosaurs could regenerate bone and tissue remarkably well. One study found they shook off massive trauma and healed more like hardy crocodiles than like their bird relatives, bouncing back from injuries that might be fatal to humans. During recovery, a dinosaur's biology would kick into overdrive, blood flooding the wound site to nourish new tissue and bone cells rapidly bridging fractures with fresh mineral. Behavioral science suggests these creatures also relied on instincts still seen in animals today. A badly hurt dinosaur likely hid and rested in solitude, as many modern animals do when wounded, to avoid drawing predators to its weakness. And our tale's allies in the gloom have parallels in nature. Certain birds pick parasites from large mammals and hiss or squawk to warn them of lurking danger, essentially standing guard for their giant companions. While we wove myth into this narrative, its core truth remains grounded in science. Dinosaurs, like the scarred colossus of our story, were capable of surviving tremendous injuries through a mix of biological resilience, natural instinct, and time. The ability of these prehistoric beasts to heal and fight on was no legend at all, but a reality written in their very bones. The fossils don't lie. In specimen after specimen, paleontologists have found bones bearing the scars of astonishing recoveries. One Tyrannosaurus rex skeleton even shows a broken neck that healed. Two neck vertebrae fused together, extra bone growth locking them in place. Another bears a healed hole in its skull the size of a golf ball, likely from a rival's bite, yet a thin layer of new bone grew to seal it. These are wounds that should have been death sentences, but incredibly, those dinosaurs lived on. Scientists have even discovered preserved blood vessels in a 65-million-year-old T-Rex rib, traces of the very healing process frozen in time. It turns out the mighty predators of prehistory had an equally mighty capacity to heal and survive. So what does all this mean? It means that dinosaurs weren't just giant reptiles plodding toward extinction. They were resilient warriors built to withstand the worst. Our scarred T-Rex isn't a one-off miracle. It's part of a larger story rewriting what we know about dinosaur biology. These creatures could shrug off massive trauma and fight another day, revealing immune systems and healing abilities that shocked scientists and defied expectations. It forces us to imagine a T-Rex not just as a fearsome predator, but as an animal that could be smashed, bitten, and broken, and still refuse to die. Each healed fracture and scarred bite mark is a testament to a level of toughness almost unheard of in the animal kingdom today. In the end, the tale of that wounded giant struggling through a prehistoric night isn't just a dramatic story. It really happened again and again in the age of dinosaurs. Dinosaurs like T-Rex were more than kings of the food chain. They were ultimate survivors. The proof is etched in their bones. In every fossilized scar and regrown bone we unearth, we hear an echo of an earth-shaking roar that says, "I will live." And that might be the most extraordinary thing about dinosaurs, not just how powerful they were in life, but how powerfully life coursed through them, even in their darkest moments. That unyielding resilience is their final legacy, and it's one heck of an epic conclusion written in bone.